Hello and welcome to Elizabeth's Cozy Kitchen. Today I'm going to be doing the second part of the video for the lasagna. So over there on the stove I have my pasta sauce waiting for me, and I also have my lasagna noodles. Instead of cooking the lasagna noodles in a pot, and I found that was really difficult to deal with, and you don't really need the noodles completely cooked anyway, what I do is I put them in this dish with boiling water, and then halfway I just kind of turned them all. It stopped the problem of some of them getting broken in the pot. It stopped the problem with them getting all stuck together. Occasionally one or two will get stuck together this way, but I just kind of go through and flip them all. And this is the only flexibility I need. This isn't 100% cooked, but it's flexible enough where it's not going to break and I can work with. I tried using the no-bake noodles and I wasn't really happy with them. So I just have the noodles in here in boiling water, and that's set off to the side. So then I'm going to make the rest of my filling. So I'm going to make a spinach pesto ricotta. So the first thing I have is, and keep in mind I'm doubling this, I'm making a lot of lasagnas. I only make lasagna once a year. I'm going to make one for the Christmas Eve, one for the Christmas family party, and then one for my sister because she's due in a couple weeks, and that way she'll have a meal that she can just throw into the oven. And if there's any left over, I'll make a little mini one for me to have today or tomorrow. So I have a shit ton of garlic, like 7 cloves of garlic, and I'm going to put that in the food processor. Putting it in the food processor first will allow it to be chopped up and minced by itself. Perfect. And next I'm going to add my basil. I just had one big package of basil, and I'm throwing that in. So when I normally make this recipe during the summer, because I eat pesto a lot, I mix fresh spinach in here. So I fill up the whole thing. It's got the probably about 4 cups of basil. And then I fill the rest up with another 4 to 6 cups of fresh spinach. I found when I did that with my lasagna, there's so much water in it that it made a really watery lasagna. So what I have here draining in the sink is frozen spinach that I have bought. And while this is processing, I'm going to squeeze all the extra water out. It's a lot of water. And I haven't rinsed it or anything. That's just how much water is coming out of the spinach. So just little by little I'm going to put it in the food processor. You see all the water comes out. So yeah, so it made it so I had to bake my lasagna for twice as long because I was using fresh spinach instead of the frozen, which I could squeeze out the moisture. And I have, this is 2 8-ounce packages. If you're making one lasagna, keep in mind you're going to half this recipe. And if you want more spinach, you can add even more spinach. I make a very, very simple lasagna. But if you want to add like roasted vegetables, I would say probably like a zucchini, eggplant, pepper thing, roast those and chopped really finely and put that in as a layer. That's really good too if you like more texture in lasagna. I don't really like that much texture. Me and my mom were just talking on the phone about how she likes texture in her lasagna. So then I'm also going to put in my pine nuts now. It's a 1/4 cup of pine nuts and a pinch of salt. When you make pesto, try to make like a whole food processor full and just store it. I find that the food processor has a harder time dealing with just a very, very small amount unless you have a very small food processor. And I'll show you what I do with them while this is finishing processing. again. So this is a pesto that I made in the summer when it was ridiculously cheap at the farmer's market, or when my mom had like an extra stash and she gave me a whole bunch. This is pesto with spinach, and this is just straight pesto. So like I'll even use this in recipes like where I'm sauteing up vegetables. I'll just take like a quarter of the pesto and mix it in, and it adds real nice flavor. So you can put it in ice cube trays and freeze it for later. So now my spinach pesto is done. Oh, I didn't add oil. It's not done. I didn't add oil. And I'm not going to put in as much oil as I normally do because the frozen spinach makes it so I really don't have to. With the fresh spinach, I usually just add enough oil to keep it moving, because what will happen is it stops moving after a while. So now I have my ricottas here. This is 3 containers of the Tofutti Better Than Ricotta cheese. And so then I'm just going to add, and you can always do, if you want to keep them separate, you can keep them separate, do like a layer of ricotta and a layer of pesto. But I'm going to be doing them together. And then just mixing it up. And then it makes the ricotta green, and green's my favorite color. So like I said, that's a pesto recipe that you can use for anything. I put it on gnocchi, I put it on kelp noodles, you put on the zucchini noodles, regular pasta. I prefer pesto over like a tomato sauce. Okay, it looks all mixed up. That's the ricotta. Now let's bring over the rest of the ingredients to assemble this. Let's see if I can do it quickly enough so this video doesn't become insanely long. So I have my dish that I'm going to assemble in, and then I'm going to also use this dish for later. And I have my tomato sauce. I'm running out of room over here. See, that's the real reason I don't have roasted vegetables. I don't have space on my counter. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spoon some tomato sauce on the bottom. And of course, another hack, if you don't want to make your own sauces, you can buy sauce and you can still make lasagna. And then I'm just going to put this in here, and I'm going to have scissors waiting. Cut the long pieces. One nice thing about this dish is the lasagna noodles are the exact length of the dish, and so I don't have to do this trimming thing that I'm doing with this dish. But when you're making 3, you do best what you can. Okay, so I have 1 layer of the noodles down. And then I'm going to put another layer of sauce. The bottom layer of sauce is important because it's mostly there to stop the noodles from sticking to the pan. At least that's my understanding. I mean, I could have been fed Italian lies down from generation to generation. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of spoon on the ricotta. You don't want to, it can mix up with the sauce and then you kind of lose your layering. So you kind of just put like dollops down. Best you can. At this point, if you wanted to do like a layer of vegan cheese or regular cheese, you might not be vegan and you're just following this as a general lasagna recipe, you could do that, but I don't feel that the lasagna needs it. Because I don't want any more calories, and this lasagna is already providing me. So at that point, then I'm going to add more noodles. You can also buy those aluminum foil things. Then you know what I'm talking about, right? The things. The aluminum pans. There we go, pans. The aluminum pans also work really nicely. And then I'm just all these little pieces. Well, I think I'm doing okay. A lot of times I'll make a little lasagna out of these little pieces for myself. Or you can put them on this layer. Okay, press that down. And then I add another layer of sauce. Keep in mind there are mushrooms in the sauce, so it's not like spinach is the only extra vegetable that I have in there. So there's mushrooms in the sauce. And then spinach and basil in the ricotta. So for the only holiday that I get to host in my house, or this year it's going to be Rebecca's house because she's going to be too pregnant to travel, is Christmas Eve. Because traditionally Italians eat and I think Polish as well, they eat vegetarian, but they eat most just fish, pescatarian, whatever that is, on Christmas Eve. So that's the holiday my mom said I could have, since I don't cook meat. And so I make a lasagna. The one year I did try to do a bunch of different fishes and like 10 different entrees, and that was just very overwhelming for me. So now I just make a soup, a salad, and lasagna, and then I make some cannolis. So this is the top layer, so it's a little bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the sauce down. And then I'm going to put some vegan mozzarella on top. I have the Dea mozzarella spread, but you can use whatever vegan cheese you like. Or you can use, one year I made my own. It was very easy. Missed the spot. So when you bake this, you're going to bake it around 400. I usually bake for about an hour. So you bake it with foil on top, and then the last 15 minutes to get the top to brown. 15-20 minutes you're going to take the foil off. Otherwise the top will burn by the time the lasagna is done cooking. So I'm just spreading this over the top, and my lasagna is done. That wasn't too bad, right? So then I'm going to put foil on this and keep it in my freezer until it's time to cook in next week. And I have a few more of these to make today, but thank you very much for watching, and until next time, manja.